This is Radar from the Radar Entertainment Blog coming to the final edition of the 2022 offseason, which is over because we're in March, and March is about to be over, and this is the 2023 Hotstove last week. This is week 21. The season started today on Thursday, and all 30 teams played. Sometimes some don't. Sometimes they have a game the night before. The Reds play a game early in years past. But today is opening day, and you'll get an opening day observation like I've done the past couple of years tomorrow. After all the games have been played, read all the box scores, watch all the highlights. So this is the last full baseball-centric video that is not based on games. Over the course of baseball season, you will get major baseball stories talked about on the weekly podcast, On the Radar, wherever you get your podcasts. And any baseball articles I write will be on the Radar Entertainment Blog, on the RadarMedia.com, blogger Radar4428. The Twitter handle is Radar4428. TikTok and Snapchat are also on there with On the Radar Media or Radar4428. Same thing with my Instagram. You will be finding more photos from all the baseball stadiums I went to, and I figure out how to get them all on Instagram. You will also be getting short videos about baseball on TikTok and Instagram going forward, just for more content. So let's start with this. The A's have picked up Jeurys Familia after the Diamondbacks cut him in spring training. I thought the Diamondbacks could use him, but I guess the A's would rather use him and flip him at the deadline. The Mets were like, okay, we know that our pitcher Quintana's hurt to start the year, and Max Scherzer's old, and Verlander's old, and Carlos Carrasco's an injury pass. So signing Dylan Bundy to a minor league deal is what smart teams do. Organizational debt. Cole Calhoun opted out with the Mariners because he realized that between Jared Kelenic, Cooper Hummel, and the utility guys, and A.J. Pollock, that he wasn't going to make the team. So he said, I'm going to become a free agent. Oscar Coalis, the White Sox, finally were the smart thing and decided, we're going to go with this up-and-coming prospect, and we're not going to wait. You know, they didn't really wait with Robert, Aloy, and some other guys. They signed him to extensions before they even debuted. That's the smart thing to do, and even though Leor Garcia is being paid for the next 2 years, they said adios because Hanser Alberto and Romy Gonzalez, Leon Sosa, and even Eric Gonzalez on a minor league deal are all better options because one thing that they all have in common is they can actually field their positions. If Leor Garcia could field his positions when he plays, but he made a lot of errors in the infield, but, he can hit. Well, he hasn't hit, and he used to be the leadoff hitter, but we're not going to bat him leadoff, so there was no point to have him. Brewers DFA'd in here, but he accepted his outright assignment and went to the minor leagues because same thing with him. The man could never field his position, but if he could hit, that would be something. But for right now, they're like, we'd rather have Luke Voigt on the team because we want some offense in the lineup, and that makes sense. Chad Pinder, the Reds don't have a guarantee starting outfield because Nick Senzel is hurt and everybody else is backup. Joey Votto's hurt, and, Spencer Steer probably should be playing first base. So the Reds don't have a set corner infield either. So I thought Chad Pinder would make the team, but they said, nah. So the Nationals pick him up, and with Keyboom starting the year hurt, it's basically Candelario as the starting third baseman. And I'm like, okay, that's not amazing, but you know what? Maybe Chad Pinder will get some bats there, and he'll maybe get some at-bats in the outfield as well. Joey Votto, as I mentioned, is going to miss his opening day. That breaks his long streak. Sad for him. The Cubs extended Nico Hoerner to a 3-year, $35 million extension. Because, hey, Swanson's locked up at shortstop, and they really believe in Nico Hoerner at second base. That makes sense. Cleveland, they believe in Anderson Menes. After he had more home runs than RBI's ever had in a season and was an all-star, they said, we'll give you a 7-year extension for $106.5 million to $106.5 million. I still think he should play in shortstop because if those offensive numbers are at a shortstop, that's even way more valuable than second base. Cardinals and Angels won the spring training with the best records. Doesn't mean that much. Daniel Murphy, who we all thought was retired, signed a deal with the Long Island Ducks in independent ball. Maybe this is like a last hurrah. Maybe he wants to play because he feels healthy, but he was a good player. All 30 teams this year, they will face each other, which is something cool. Christian Pache didn't make the A's team, which makes no sense because, as I told you before, the A's are not trying to win. And Seth Brown and Raimel Lariano are definitely trade candidates. They're veteran outfielders. One's a good hitter, one's a great fielder. I thought they were like, well, we're not trying. Well, they had a prospect make the team, and that bumped him out. But he's only 24 years old. With the Rhys Hoskins ACL injury and Bryce Harper out for the first half of the year, the Phillies have to figure out who's going to play first base and DH. It could be Castellanos or Schwarber, but then you got this Hall guy. Alec Bohm could also play some first base, but then if Castellanos or Schwarber play the outfield, they're going to need some outfielder to play, and Pache would be a good enough addition for that. And they announced MLB Network's schedule, MLB Central, High Heat, followed by MLB Now, Off Base, Intentional Talk, followed by MLB Tonight and Quick Pitch. Ryan Dempster is the new guy that's going to be joining Sierra Santos to do Intentional Talk with Kevin Millar. They've now had the guy who used to work for MLB Network was doing play-by-play, and of course the dude from Best Damn Sports. So let's get a former player and a host. They've changed around a few things. Matt Vasgerson's not going to his gambling show, but he's still going to be there. And we already know that Atnan, Verk, and Reynolds are going to be doing it, but Grant Ampensteiner is going to be doing a later version. Okay? Yes announced a $25 a month and 240-year streaming option for those who don't want to have cable. The Yankees are always trying to make money. Diamond Sports still did make their payment to the Padres. That was up in the air. Angels, again, are stupidly not setting the radio guys in the row. This isn't a pandemic. There's no issue to setting radio guys because it's different from watching on a monitor than actually being in the game. You're not sure where the angles of the balls are. That makes no sense. Cheap. The Angels have a lot of money. The good news is that Major League Baseball and the Player Association agreed on a CBA for the minor league baseball. I will talk more about that next week with all the detail. Sad news report. We already know Liam Hendricks is out with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and that there was this other pitcher that has cancer as well, a minor league pitcher. And now it's known that Giants and Diamondback great and former manager and longtime Major League coach Matt Williams announced he has colon cancer. He'll step away from the team while Mike Schilt, who's been working for the Padres, will step in. Prayers up. Matt Williams is one of my favorite players. I really hope that he gets healthy and back on into coaching right now. The Braves announced that Orlando Arcia got a 3-year, $7.3 million extension. This still makes no sense because literally Milwaukee gave up on him and Atlanta picked him up. He learned how to play the outfield, and because obviously Atlanta had Dansby Swanson, he wasn't going to play. He only filled in when there was injuries to Osby Albies, But instead of Vaughn Grisham, the other prospect, they decided to go with him and they locked him up. Hopefully it works out for them. He used to be a starting player with Milwaukee. You never know. Change of scenery and some down years is a good thing for some player. I don't know about him. The Red Sox offseason acquisition, Raul Mondesi Jr., Alberto Mondesi has been officially placed on the 60-day injury list. That is the reason why he didn't make the opening day roster as short of second base. Major League Baseball announced players that are making debut for the first game will get a special patch in their jersey, which is cool. Daniel Norris got cut in spring training by the Reds, but now he's going to Cleveland, so he's staying in Ohio. Again, if he doesn't start for Cleveland, he'll be a good reliever on a bullpen. Mike Grove lost the Dodgers job. He was optioned, and they gave it to Ryan Pepio, but he then went on the injured list, so they're not sure who the fifth starter is. Angels officially sent down utility player Velasquez, because when you got Giovanni Urshela and Brandon Drury, you don't need him, and Joe Adell and Mickey Moniak were sent down because you went and got Hunter Renfroe. Luis Severino went to the injured list. What is new? Severino is one of the many Yankees pitchers who can't stay healthy. Rangers Glenn Otto's out 3 weeks. It's good, and he and Jake Odorizzi are both on the injured list. That's a good thing. They got Heaney, DeGrom, Eovaldi, and brought back Martin Perez because they knew that their rotation was going to be a little bit tricky, so they got depth there. Cubs announced Hayden Winiski makes the 5th spot in the rotation, and Sampson goes down. That was literally their question mark in the rotation. Tommy Hunter made the bullpen, which makes sense. That's why they brought him back. They need someone who's close to the game. Reds officially cut to Strickland. I hope someone picks him up. He's at one point was a good reliever. Angels cut Luis Barrera and Ash Walters, but Chris Davidsky's staying in minor league camp because they could always use Davidsky later on. Chris Owens will stay in the pitcher Pirates minor league rotation. I don't know why they're not using him. Kyle Crick opted out with the Rays. Roberto Suarez is going to the injured list. Roberto Perez makes it as the Giants' backup catcher. That's a good decision. He used to be a starter. Jordan Walker, one of the best prospects for the Cardinals, makes the team. Maybe they'll be smart and let this guy play some center field because he's a young rookie, but I don't know. Twins officially cut Cisco and Grayson Griner, Locke St. John, Tyler Webb, Parker Bug, and Nolan Blackwood. Webb and Locke St. John, I thought would be useful in their bullpen, and Griner and Cisco would be useful because their backup hasn't been healthy, and Christian Vasquez has battled some injuries in his career. Salkis and Ty Black made the Rockies. Ty Black is a former starter, but being a swing guy will help out the Rockies and need pitching, and Salkis will definitely help them out if it's true that Blackman, Grichuk, and Crone are not healthy. You need some offense in the lineup. And Taylor Motter made the Cardinals roster, while relievers Jojo Romero and Genesis Cabrera didn't make it. I thought Genesis Cabrera was one of the more important relievers for the Cardinals. I'm wrong. Juan Yepes, it did seem like there was enough room if Walker's making it and Donovan and Gorman are going to get at bats. Makes sense. Mets sent down Batty and Vientos because right now they don't need him. The roster is full. That makes total sense. Justin Boyd has gone to Cleveland, and that player to be named later, Will Benson trade. The Reds have DFA'd Alia Lopez, which, they don't need him at this point. Kyle Wright, injured list. So the Braves announced that Shuster and Dodd are going to make the rotation. I don't know why Ian Anderson didn't make it. That's another story. The Mariners returned Chris Clark to the Cubs, that Rule 5 pick. Eula Gurriel does make the Marlins roster, but again, they got a gluttony of infielders. Where's he going to play every day? And Iglesias will stay in AAA. Brian Shaw, the Sevilla guy, the Sox guy on the Rule 5, did not make it. I was hoping Brian Shaw would because he's a veteran. Patino and Chirinos of the Rays did not make the team, but so that means Fleming won the 5th starter spot. I don't know why Chirinos didn't. Romy Gonzalez and Gregory Santos made one of the final cuts for the White Sox. Romy Gonzalez is going to be the utility guy over Leori Garcia, and Santos, the Sox picked him up in the offseason. Anthony Velope makes the Yankees open day roster, so the Xander Falefa nightmare of a catcher who was good enough at third base to play shortstop is over. That just means between the Cabrera and the Peraza, Oswaldo's one of them, and not making it or playing, that's fine. Just go with somebody young, makes sense. Do the right thing, Yankees. And the Padres return Jose Lopez to the Rays, that Rule 5 pick. Padres announced that both Brandon Dixon and Tim Lopes, utility guys, were reassigned to minor leagues along with Julio Teheran. Hopefully they keep both utility guys in Teheran around. Matt Strahm finally gets a chance to start. It's been a while since he started a game. The Phillies, with injury, said, we're finally going to give you the 5th starter spot because Rangers Suarez got on the injured list. Reds Derek Law makes the team. I don't know why Hunter Strickland didn't, and this guy did. Tim LeCastro makes the Mets because the Mets really need a real 4th outfielder because Tommy Pham is not a great defensive outfielder, especially asking to play center field. Jaron Ruff was DFA because you only really need one DH between him and Vogelback. Pirates, Jacob Brucker, injured list. Danny Colombe, the Twins, traded him to the Orioles. Zach McKinstry was traded from the Cubs to the Tigers. The Tigers are another utility guy. They don't need utility guys. They're not going anywhere. Orioles officially cut Nomar Mazara and Franchi Cordero. I didn't even realize Mazara was on their minor league team, but they have a set outfield. They don't really need extra guys. They also DFA'd Andrew Pelote. David Peterson won the 5th starter job, but with Verlander today going on the injured list, McGill's called back up. Tyler O'Neill, as I mentioned, they announced he's going to start the year in center field. Why isn't Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar, or Dylan Carlson? I just listed you a bunch better options. We'll check that out throughout the year. Red Sox officially sent down Bobby Delback, and Jorge Faro was reassigned. There's no room for Delback because he's a third baseman. They have one. They also have Justin Turner, and obviously they're going to cast this guy at first base, so there's no need for him. And Alfaro, I don't know why he didn't make the team. They don't have a starting catcher. And the Cleveland's Tristan McKenzie's out 2 weeks. I called it. Cleveland's rotation, I can't be perfectly healthy like it was last year. Good news, Jackie Bradley Jr. made the Royals as a backup outfielder and a veteran presence in the clubhouse. That's a good thing. You need veteran guys on the team. Cubs outright Rowan Wick and option Morel, who wants to play every day instead of being a utility guy. Jared Walsh and Max Stassi going to the injured list, start the year for the Angels, so they'll need somebody at first base. And their starting catcher's obviously hurt. So Jacob Lamb makes the team. He's a corner infield outfielder bat. Right-hander Tony Lacari's gone to the Rays. Cesar Hernandez was cut by the Tigers because he wasn't making the team, which makes sense. There's no room for him. They have a second baseman. Hobie Harris makes the Nationals, but Matt Adams is going to stay in AAA. Jay Jackson was cut but re-signed by the Blue Jays. Stan Leon was cut by the Rangers, but they kept him. Twins cut Jeff Hoffman to let him pursue other opportunity. Cubs announced Luis Torrens will be the third catcher, which is what he done in both San Diego and Seattle. He loves being a third catcher. Yankees cut Rafael Ortega because they figured out their outfield. Corey Jukes and Cesar Salas make the Astros. But Corey Lee, Bly Maris, J.J. Mala, Ryan Blandland sent down. Dixon Machado, this Durian, this Austin Davis, Butterly were all reassigned. Red Sox announced Ryan Tapia has made the team as a 4th outfielder while Jalen Duran was sent down. If Jalen Duran's not going to play every day and you're going to stupidly play Duvall in center field with, Verdugo in right field, Kiki as shortstop, and Rep Schneider is going to play some outfield, that having Tapia speed and ability, then that's a good move by them because they want to be better. Grayson Griner, after cut by the Twins, the Rockies picked him up, and they don't have an actual starter, so he knew he was going to get his opportunity at some point. Joe Manaply, the Diamondbacks all-star setup man, he's starting the year hurt. If Melanson started, they'd have nobody to close games out. Phillies have picked up TJ Zych in a trade, extra reliever. Mets, Bryce Montes de Acada has elbow surgery, he's going to be out for a while. Adrian House of the Brewers, who was going to go move to the bullpen, is going to start the year on the injured list. Jason Shreve, the longtime veteran reliever and starter and trade win-getter, have made the Tigers team. They need bodies who have pitched in the major leagues, so that makes sense. Dominic Leone re-signed with the Rangers. I could see him re-emerging at some point in the major leagues this year. After the Orioles cut Franchi Cordero, the Yankees said, we don't want Rafael Ortega, we want Franchi Cordero, a guy who I think has been busted for steroids, can't stay healthy, can't hit, but whatever. Detroit did outright Ronny Garcia, but picked up this Grant Witherspoon guy. Cardinals DFA'd Ansky Miskowicz because they didn't need him on the roster. They had enough pitching. Matt Duffy made the roster. It was him, like Yohan Camargo and a bunch of other utility guys on minor league deal. So it's nice to know that he's going to be on the bench of the Royals and he can play everywhere at this point. And Franmil Reyes makes the team supposedly, but again, what was the point of setting Nick Pratto down if you're going to get a glorified DH in Franmil Reyes? It's the wrong team for him. Ian Kennedy officially makes the team because the Rangers need him and Will Smith to close out game. And Travis Jankowski becomes the 4th outfielder because the Rangers really need a 4th outfielder, not throwing Josh Smith, an infielder, in the outfield. And Orizzi and Ottawa mentioned 60-day injured list. Angels put Jose Marte on the 60-day injured list. Twins announced Willie Castro made the team. And we all know with Detroit, they played him everywhere, infield and outfield. And I know they're set at shortstop, but if Polanco is not healthy, he may get some at bat second base or even third base. David Dahl somehow made the Padres team. That's good. He's a good offensive player. I don't know what defensive value he has. Chad Kuhl made the Nationals team because Savali, Strasburg, Tanner Rainey, and Arano are all injured. And Kieboom, who I mentioned earlier, is injured with this Pineda guy. Michael Chavis is a good infield bat. He and Candelario probably get him bats at third base. Anthony Bannisberger on the block. They need him in the bullpen. Tigers DFA'd Edwin Uceda. Reds DFA'd Nick Solak. I didn't forget he was on the team. And he's a second baseman who the Rangers obviously weren't going to play there, but he has played all over the place. I thought maybe with the injured Nick Senzel, he may make the team and play the outfield. I was wrong. And Atlanta officially announced that Andrianza is backup infielder on the team because obviously Arcia is starter and not going to be the backup. And that my guy Kevin Pillar is going to be the fourth outfielder, which I'm really happy because if he's healthy, he's a quality outfielder for any team. Jesse Chavez made the team because I know they're going to just love bringing him back all the time. He's an innings guy. He's just a swing guy. And Schuster made it, I mentioned. Unoa and Allard and Mazik are all on the 60 injured list. For now, Matt Beattie was sent to San Francisco. I don't understand it. They have a lot of corner outfielder DH at bat. While they let Piscotty leave, I don't know where he's going to go. Cubs announced Mark Leiter Jr. made the team. Richard Lovelady was traded with Atlanta. They got an extra reliever from the Royals. Bembu made the Orioles team because James McCann's officially gone on the injured list with relievers Tate and Given. And Means is officially on the 60-day list. Petio, as I mentioned, was on the injured list, so they call up Jack Harris. Gavin Lux was put on the 60 injured list because he's out for the year. Jason Hayward makes the team. Nice story. I'm glad Hayward made it. As mentioned, Verlander injured list. Ryan Velarde was DFA'd for assignment. Rafael Martin, the Philly catcher, is on the 60-day injured list. Odor and also Domingo Tapia make the Padres. So I'm glad for Odor. I don't know the Tapia guy that well. A's announced Carlos Perez made the team. So is Manny Pena hurt, or are they going to go with three catchers again? Which cuts into Shane Langelier's everyday playing time. Cleveland announced Cam Gallagher and Muse Viloria, both who have spent time in Kansas City as backup, will ease in the burden of Mike Zunino. And Jason Belusa was DFA'd and Cody Morris on a 60 injured list. Max Fried officially was put on the injured list today. Daniel Bard's on the injured list. Colton Brewer and Josh Goody. The Yankees picked both of them up. Good bullpen depth and catching depth. And there's Ricky Vanasco had knee surgery, so he's out for the year. And thanks for listening to the final week, the 21st week of the 2022 offseason going into this year's 2023 season. Massive edition. For On the Rain Table Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.